It's another edition of All Stars TV. These interviews building up to our 2024 edition of the UK charity All Stars. It's at Sheffield on August 2nd to the 4th, the Bow Arena, our home this year. And it's a two-header interview today. We have a member of the committee and one of our on-ice officials. Delighted to welcome to All Stars TV. It's Kelly Coles and Jason Coles. Kelly and Jason, thanks for joining us live by satellite from your mystery retreat.
Thank you for having us.
Good evening.
Pleasure is all of ours. As we sit now, it's just over 5 weeks. It's come around really quickly, Kelly, hasn't it?
Oh, so quickly. It's been quite a low, slow burn to this month, and now it's just like all guns blazing, and here we go.
Yeah. And Jason, you're one of our officials. We'll talk about your kind of how you got involved shortly. But being in Sheffield, is it any different for yourself? Or is it just wherever All Stars is, it's great to be involved?
Yeah, I don't think it makes any difference really. It's just easier to get to and from home. Other than that, it's just another rink. The same people will turn up this year as last year when it was in Cardiff. So it's just nice that so many people turn up year in, year out as well.
Yeah. No, we are looking forward to it. I say first time in Sheffield for a good few years. As this is your first time both on All Stars TV, what we like to do is get the guests what we call their origin story, how they got involved with All Stars. Kelly, do you want to kick us off? How you and All Stars came to be so closely involved?
So I was part of the first ever All Stars. Hubs and I have been friends for many, many, many years. In fact, Hubs was at my house the day I went into labour with Evan. So that's how long Hubs and I have been friends, and way before that. And he was doing All Stars, and Alan Armour, who's also a good friend of Jason and mine, sorry. He was playing in the original first ever All Stars, and they just said, "Can you come down and give us a hand?" So I went down and I ran the penalty boxes, because way back then we actually had penalties where you sat the penalty boxes. So I provided the alcohol and the sweets in the penalty box, and apparently I was really good at it. So that was my first ever encounter with All Stars, and I participated, of course, in the drinking. Went out into Sheffield with the boys. Had a great time, and then I kind of got hooked. So the year after that was in Basingstoke, and we went down to Basingstoke. Jason actually played that year. Evan was a mascot. That was in 2009, so Evan was just 9. And they played for the breast cancer care team. And then the year after that was Cardiff, and again Jason and Evan played for Dreams Come True. Evan was a mascot. We took part in a couple of ones after that, but then Evan started playing for GB inline hockey, and Jason was head coach of the GB inline hockey organisation. So we kind of got dragged to some other events so we couldn't do All Stars. And I think we came back in about 2015. And then I was on the committee helping out, and they've kind of been stuck with me ever since, really.
I mean, you say stuck with you. I'm sure they wouldn't have it any other way. It's well, we say that.
But you get a lot more if you wasn't on the committee. Let's put it that way.
We'll talk about the what the committee role involves in a minute. But Jason, so you're a player and now an official, and it's just what Kelly said at the beginning is quite funny. It hooks you in, because that's what we found when we're doing a few of these interviews. People come to All Stars and then they kind of just never leave.
Yeah, as Kelly said, I played in the second one in Basingstoke. The format was very, very different to what it is now. There was 2 teams, and basically I don't know even how many players were involved. There was a lot on each bench. There was no buzzer or anything. You served penalties. I don't know who the refs were. I think we just roped 2 blokes in off the street, to be fair. So it was basically, you went on for I think some people had 3, 4, 5 minute shifts. You went on for a shift, you got off and went to the end of the bench, and when you got to the front of the bench, you went back on again. And then the second year in Cardiff, in the old Big Blue tent, I think we had 4 teams that year. We'd expanded from 2 teams to 4 teams. Me and a couple of friends from Belfast played on the Dreams Come True team, and I think the format was still the same. It was like 1 20-minute period or whatever. There was still no buzzer, so you had really experienced, good players playing against really inexperienced players.
Mm-hmm.
I think what it's expanded to now. And then in 2015 was I think we were short of refs, and I'd been reffing inline hockey for a while. I'd never reffed an ice hockey game ever. Everybody always asks me when I get, do you ref ice hockey? The short answer is no. But then again, the rules for All Stars are quite slack, shall we say? So yeah, 2015 was my first year reffing, and I think we've probably pretty much done it every year since, apart from the COVID years, sadly. And we've used different refs. Usually we've managed to rope in some experienced EIHA and a couple of elite league refs have volunteered their time gratefully. Sadly, this year the All Stars falls on the same weekend as the refs symposium, so we have got Evans stepped down from playing this year as having a year off, and he's volunteered to ref. There'll be myself and Nathan Holmes, and I'm just trying to rope in another ref that I know from roller hockey. He's a bit reluctant because he thinks it's going to be all fighting, and we have tried to explain to him what it is. So fingers crossed we can get a 4th ref.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'll be very busy this year with 3 refs.
3-man rotation. I mean, we'll talk about the official, because when we did the team announcements back in the autumn, we did make a thing of the Zebras were the 9th team, because you are and have been as long as I can remember. The officials are a huge part of All Stars, and you are a team that takes part. So it's worth having that kind of recognition, and you do all have your links, particularly you and Evan, particularly the last few years with T Haven and Scarlett.
Yeah, T Haven's always been an organisation that is really close to our family's heart. Yeah. Obviously Chris and Claire are our best friends, and Scarlett was, well, she was just our girl. So T Haven has always been special for us, and even now, even though we haven't got T Haven at All Stars this year, I'm still avidly fundraising and pushing for T Haven, because Scarlett's dad, as you know, does these weird, wonderful and stupid challenges. Yeah. So he's got a huge one coming up in the next couple of weeks. So T Haven's always been our team, and when we go back to Cardiff, we will have T Haven back in All Stars again. There is no doubt that will happen. I mean, Bluebell Wood are Yorkshire's equivalent to T Haven, so Bluebell Wood do a fantastic service to the life limited children of Yorkshire and the surrounding areas. So it's lovely to still have. So we didn't swap it for somebody, an organisation that was not ever going to be All Stars. We swapped it for something that was going to be the same as what T Haven do. We wish that we shouldn't have organisations like Bluebell Wood and T Haven. We wish that that children don't need it, but unfortunately they do. So Bluebell Wood this year will be my team. When we do fundraising, that will be the team I push. But T Haven will always be in our hearts, always.
Yeah, always. And same for a lot of people in All Stars, particularly say the last few years with I was going to say Chris and Scarlett, with Scarlett and Chris and Claire. The All Stars experience, I mean, we've talked about it with a few people, like we say, and Kelly, we've said it to a few. It's the weekend is kind of the end of the process, and it's something that takes a good chunk of the year once we kick the launch button off I think it was in the early autumn this year. So from a committee side of things, what's the timeline of All Stars for a year for you?
365 days. We try to take a couple of weeks off after the event. I mean, I'm the only non-playing. Mr. Baker's also a non-playing member, but I'm the only non-playing committee member. So the reason the boys brought me back on board from when I had to take a step back previously was to make sure that the event runs, the actual days of the events run smoothly. So I will, from the minute that I get to the rink, it's setting up, making sure the timekeepers, the off-ice team have got everything they need. I think Craig, I make a nice cup of coffee. So I go,
coffee, yes.
Obviously, I go from everything to make sure people are being fed, to make sure that the front desk ladies get everything they need, that we're working well with the rink staff, make sure that rink staff know what we're doing, we know what they're doing, making sure that players are where they should be, when they should be. I just don't stop from the minute I get to the rink to the minute I leave. I don't stop. But the build up to it, our group chats are so positive. We're constantly got 3 or 4 group chats with different bits of the organization going on. And we're just making sure I'm working closely with Pete and Anne-Marie from Crosscheck. I pop in, make sure that if they need anything, because I'm only around the corner, I can pop in, check that Pete and Anne-Marie don't need anything from us. We can chase what they do need. It's just non-stop, really. It's not like a job. It's something that I love being part of. I love making sure that the build up to the event is running smoothly, and then the actual event runs as smooth as it can. If people don't collapse on the ice and try to give us all actual heart attacks when they have their own. So, Mr.
Take all the limelight for themselves.
I can't believe he did that. I mean,
I was just going to, when you were saying about the coffee, I've just realised I've got my actual All Stars branded.
Well, can you remember it this year, though, please?
I'll remember it, yes. It'll be easier to bring it in the car than try and pack it on the train. It was coming down the car.
To be fair, if you forget it, I'm only at home. I can run back and get some more. It's fine.
In terms of, you mentioned that you're just around the corner from Pete. Has it been any different this year with it being in Sheffield, doing a lot more of the hands-on things? You maybe Mr. Grant, who are the local people this year?
No, it's been, we've worked, David's worked tirelessly to secure us somewhere for Saturday evening, which I think Commune is an absolutely amazing space for us, because previously going out on a Saturday night, we try to find a decent venue, and it's always been quite difficult because we're trying to fit possibly 200 people into a tiny space. But Commune, David's worked hard to get, and that's really, really good. It's going to be a brilliant space, food, drink, children are welcome. So families who come up with their children, which is always a positive, because, like Rick comes up with his 3 children, and they're fantastic little ones. They on All Stars weekend, they just want to help you. They want to get involved. I get 3 little shadows for the weekend of All Stars, but it just means that the players aren't just going out without their kids. Kids are involved. Kids are a big part of All Stars, and it means that they can now get involved in the evenings as well. Can come for food, can come for drinks. It's a lot easier. We're working really well with Ice Sheffield. We've had problems in previous years with Ice Sheffield when we've had an events there. But this year we've got Cameron on board from Ice Sheffield, who really is working quite well and wants us to succeed. So we're building bridges there, and they are working really well. So I'm hoping that Sheffield 2024 will be a pinnacle event for All Stars.
Yeah, no, looking at the group chats and the way that things are working, it's looking really, really positive for a fantastic event. In terms of the weekend, then, Jason, when you're in ref mode, I remember last year we talked to Nathan. Like you mentioned at the top, the rules are relaxed, but you and the team stripes there, that you help the because we've got the lines and the different abilities of players, you're able to help and encourage, as well as, yes, recall what you need to be, but you can kind of help and encourage the guys who can get the most out of the weekend for them.
Yeah, I think it's difficult as a ref because you've sort of got to have three standards of refereeing, because you have got a line one, like before this year, four standards of refereeing this year because there's four lines, but you sort of got to, line one's a very quite accomplished players, so you've got to be quite and quite competitive. I know everybody says, oh, it's all stars and it's just about having fun, but it's strange on the Sunday when everybody's playing for a trophy how much the games mean to everybody. So you've got to sort of, line one, was that a trip? Yes, it was. And then line three, was that a trip, or did they just fall over each other? And then obviously it's always fun to have a line three player take a penalty shot, because that's, I mean, 2 years ago, I actually I had to assist a third line player on a penalty shot because he didn't think he could make it from the red line to the goal without falling over. So, yeah, I mean, the rest we've used in the last few years have all understood and got what All Stars is about. And as long as the players explain beforehand, oh, this is going to happen, which 9 times out of 10 they do, or we're going to stage a fight because this is so-and-so's first All-Stars and we want them to get a goal, or it's their last All-Stars and they've never scored, whatever. We're quite accommodating. We're not there to spoil it for everybody. We're there to make sure nothing stupid happens, but also to let everybody have some fun. Yeah. Because it is supposed to be fun. And like I said, on the Sunday, when there's trophies involved, suddenly it's everybody's playing for the Stanley Cup. It's and it sort of, the competitiveness ramps up from first line right down to third line, which is always funny to see third liners becoming very competitive and racing for that extra, really putting that extra bit in to try and secure. It's always fun because, I mean, we've had conversation in the past with captains. Oh, we want the first line to be the last line on, but that just puts everything on. When it's a 1-goal game, it gives the third liners something to, they're the last shift. This year it'll be the fourth line, but they're the last shift of the game, and it's a 1-goal game. It is nice that a third line player who has perhaps never put skates on in a competitive game in their lives, and they're just doing it for the fun, they could be the one that gets the game-winning goal, the game-tying goal.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of what the committee's does really well, is gives those second, third line players, those players that don't play competitive ice hockey, a chance to be the hero, let's say, and get that important championship winning goal.
Yeah. I mean, wasn't it? Was it last year and the year before? It was Pete Frith on the last shift.
Yeah.
He scored the goal that got, whether it got his, I can't remember if it got Help for Heroes into the final, or it made some difference anyway. His goal was like I think it was a tying goal or a winning goal. But like you say, it was that line and his kind of energy, and the place just went mental when he scored.
It's what All Stars is about, isn't it?
I think that was his first goal as well. I'm sure he told me that was his first ever goal, and I think Pete's been involved certainly since it was first at Sheffield, which was probably 2008. No, not first. No, when I was in 2010, 11, when it was first at Sheffield, he's been involved a long time. And he turns up every year. I think his son plays as well. So these families that play every year as well. They go on phase.
Yeah.
That's a father's, mother, son. I don't know.
Yeah.
They all play. They'll play. I think they play Barbadians last year.
Multiplying year by year, I think the phase, don't they?
Yeah, and the Phillips family, they come back every year.
Some of it's a family event, not only a spectator point of view. Like Kelly said, like Rick Strang comes up with his family and they get involved, but there's quite a few that play together. The Taylors, Ashley and Olivia Taylor, they play Dream Come True every year. It's a family event on and off the ice.
Yeah. I mean, as we've said through this, you've been around All Stars for a good number of years. Do you have a particular memory? Anything kind of sticks out from it, whether you're as a player, organizer, official, or just being around the event? Is anything sticks out in your time involved?
Well, for me, I mean, every year sticks out. There's always something that sticks out. But 2018 was our son's first year, and he played for Help for Heroes, and that was the year they won it in Sheffield. So that one always sticks out. We're just going through photos, and there's a video. I've got a video on my phone of them all flying on the ice. I mean, they played, I think it was Dreams Come True, who'd won it 2 or 3 years I think 2 years in a row, and were set to win it again. But they won it 2-1 in the final, I think. And they all flooded on the ice celebrating. So that's one that always sticks. It's always nice to see your child succeeding in sport, even if it's just a charity event. So that one sticks out for me. I mean, that's the positive. Well, obviously everybody's got the negative from last year that turned into a positive, but that's mine. Evan winning it his first year. He was old enough to play, and going on and winning it.
Winning. Not a bad way to make your debut, for sure.
No, it wasn't. No,
it was the first year he was allowed to play as well, because he was 18 that year. So he wasn't allowed to play until he was 18. So it was his first year and he won it. So yeah, it was a good year. I mean, I've like Jason said, I've got special moments from different years. Like the first year I did it in 2008, I worked with David Grant's dad, Owen, and he was on the mic. He did your job. And he was brilliant. He was absolutely lovely. He got All Stars. So, having Owen by my side when I did it the first year was lovely. Scarlett being involved the first year and being Jason pushing her around the ice will always be one of my favourite years, because the giggle from her was just immense. There's loads of different things about being an All-Star that I've got like highlights of every year. I've never come away thinking I'm never doing that again. I've always got something that's made me proud to be part of it. Always.
And you mentioned last year. I mean, in part of this series, we've already recorded one with Rick Strang. We're going to get Craig and Rosa on as well to get his story. Like Jason said, it's a horrible thing that's had such a happy ending, and to be so all stars about it. Not just the way the guys kind of rallied round to sort it out on the ice, but then in the days afterwards, the All-Star Save My Life, the T-shirts, the fundraising, and again, taking it beyond the weekend, the defibrillator campaign, which again is happening more again this weekend with I mean, we'll say with Rick's interview, but he's going to do some CPR this weekend at All-Stars this year. But again, that's again All-Stars being bigger than just the event itself. It's taking it outside the weekend.
Definitely. One of the highlight, but not a highlight from that weekend, was when Jason turned around and we were sat at home and we just got home from the rink and we'd heard that Craig was going into surgery, and Jason just turned to me and he went, "I've never seen Rick Strang skate so fast in my life." He's like, why can't he skate like that during a game? Because when you look at Jason was reffing that game, Evan was playing that game.
I was at the end where Craig collapsed, because there's so much happening on the buzzer, because it was on a line change. So obviously there's 10 guys going off, and 10 guys coming on. So you always concentrate on what's happening by the benches, because there's that potential for players to collide, and because everybody's just focused on the puck. And then I looked over. I think Ashley Taylor went back on the ice, and I looked over, and Craig was on the floor, on the ice in the corner. I was like, well, I didn't see anybody hit him. That was my first thought. I was listening to Rick's interview this morning. That was my first thought. I didn't see anybody hit him. I didn't see him skating to the boards, or he was playing either first or second line, so I wouldn't have expected him to crash into the boards because he couldn't stop. And then I went over with Ashley, and Ash sort of looked at him. He was face down, and we rolled him up. Ashley rolled him over. I think a member of the rink staff came on to see if he was all right, and we rolled him over, and he was just the colour of blue tack.
Yeah.
It was a grey colour. And that's when Rick turned up, and then all hell broke loose.
Yeah.
And obviously, it's thankful that it happened when it did. You know, it could have happened in his hotel room that night. It could have happened Saturday night while he was out, and people would have just walked past him, thought it was another drunk on the floor that passed out. You know, it could have happened on his drive back to Nottingham, and that could have been even, you know, if that had happened while he was driving up the motorway, that could have been multiple fatalities.
Yeah.
It's just so grateful it turned out to be a positive.
And that's what I said to Rick is you know it's your luck's in when it happens there, when you've got like Ash Taylor, who's a medic, you've got Rick Strang, who's a trauma NHS A&E, you've got Jordan Phipps, who's a cardiac nurse. There was GPs, there was other medical people.
There was a first responder in the crowd who had his bag, who came on with oxygen and a stats machine, and he had a second defib if we needed it, and it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, as a result of that, I went back to a few years ago. Well, I say it was a while ago. There was the roller rink we play at. There was a guy collapsed playing ball hockey, and sadly passed away. And there's no defib at the rink. I know the guy that worked there at the time, did CPR on him and everything, and he just passed away. Mm-hmm. And I went back after All Stars last year and said to the rink star, I coached the girl that runs the rink now, and said, look, this is a public building. You've no defib. You've already had a gentleman die here before you owned it, but died here. I've just been to a tournament and watched a bloke die on the ice and be brought back to life by a defib.
Yeah.
You really need to. And we actually, the roller organisation that, I put it to them as, we should give some money towards a defib. And the rink's now got a defib. They banded to the club together. I think the Ball Hockey League also put some money in, simply because I went back and said, look, it's a public building and the nearest one's 5 minutes away at the fire station. And if somebody collapses, you've got to run there and run back, and it'll be too late. You need to invest in one. I know they're expensive, but people are offering money. And they did. They've got one in there now, and it's all, these signs plastered all over. There's a defib here, blah, blah. Yeah. So it just one rink. I know it's gone beyond that. Craig and his wife have gone beyond that and tried to get one in every rink in the country, which is fantastic. But
I think we're pushing up towards double figures at least, and the campaign's continuing. As I say, talking to Rick this year, talking to Craig and Rosa this year, kind of giving it another push, and Rick's going to be giving everybody at All Stars this year a chance to learn CPR, learn how to use a defib, and kind of keep that momentum going, because it's from something that could have been so bad, like you say, Jason, that guy at the ball hockey there, but for the grace of God, we didn't have that. We had the happy ending, and Craig's, for whatever reason, Craig's coming down to play again this year.
I did put him
on the fifth line.
I did put him on a banning order, to be fair, but apparently I got overruled. So
he's had the all clear, and Rick again. If talking to Rick, he said he's had like the stents he's put in are titanium stents. They're going to survive long after Craig does. So
definitely.
His heart's in the best possible state.
I mean, as an all-star, I never ever want to have Rosie turn up at our door again, or any parent wife, partner, mother, father, turn up at the All-Stars front desk and say, "Who saved my husband's life?" Because that's what she did. She turned up and she said, "I want to meet the people who saved Craig's life," and we were like, "Okay." Mm-hmm. So, because she'd obviously driven down from Nottingham to Cardiff to be with him. I hope that we never ever. I mean, we've had years where knees have gone back into place and shoulders have gone back into place, And strange enough, Rick Strang's always involved.
I don't think, to be fair, I mean, we've been going since 2008. We've been involved pretty much since the start.
Yeah,
one or both of us. I can't think, considering the number of non-hockey players. I mean, the third line these 8 teams, these 5, whatever that is, maths wise.
176
Well,
players
these what is it? Considering the level of ability some of those second and third line players have, I can't think of one serious injury of all the years we've been involved. And like I say, when you've got 10 players coming off and 10 players going on the ice, how there's not a major collision where somebody gets hurt? It's I don't know. That is obviously a cardiac arrest. It's a bit the other way, but I think we had a dislocated knee the year before. I think that's the first major injury we've had. You get injuries, you get muscle pulls, etc. But for the level of, I mean, some of them turn up. Some of these players turn up, and it's like, this is the first time I've put ice skates on. Can you just keep an eye on me? And like, right, and you're expecting to skate up and down the ice and not get hurt.
Yeah,
it's a testament to some, the tournament itself that we've never had a serious injury.
Yeah,
up until touch one up until last year.
Up until that, yeah. And as Kelly says, Rick's kind of been the guardian angel for the last few years of anything goes wrong. It's kind of Rick, can you just this one, that one?
I think last year Steve Moria took a puck to the face.
I took a stick. I think it was a stick.
Or a stick to the face.
I think last year was the worst year for injuries.
Yeah, and he was down on the ice, and he came off afterwards. He went, "I never ever want to hear Rick Strang's voice when I got my eyes closed again," because he said, "I thought something was seriously wrong." I was like, "Yeah, we're lucky to have such a." I mean, on that T Haven team, you had Rick, who was a trauma specialist, and Mike McCruden, who works in A&E as an A&E doctor. So we it just shows, though, doesn't it, Craig, what kind of people All Stars attracts. It shows that we don't just attract people that just want to play hockey. We attract professional people that want to be involved with us.
Yeah, I think that's down to the fund. I think it's an event. It's a fundraising event that's got, at the end of it, it's got a few games of ice hockey. I think that's the take from it. It's not an ice hockey tournament and people raise money. It's the other way around. It's a year-long fundraising event that finishes with everybody getting together, having a few drinks on a Saturday night, playing a few games of hockey, and enjoying it. And then
it's kind of like I think it was Rick said, it's kind of like the reward at the end, isn't it? So you've worked all year to raise this money, and your reward is a weekend in Sheffield or Cardiff or whatever.
Yeah,
absolutely. And you get to play hockey for the weekend. That's your reward for all your fundraising.
Yeah.
Nicely linked into fundraising. The last few weeks this year has just gone absolutely bonkers in terms of fundraising. There was one weekend, I think we went kind of 3 milestones back to back to back. Can you remember it? I know talking to David Grant, he says we're still a few weeks away from silly season, the last 2 or 3 weeks of the build up. But can you remember it ramping up so quickly, Kelly?
No, never, ever. I mean, what was it? We raised a couple of grand. The boys had raised a couple of grand that first ever All Stars. We raised that in a day now. I mean, big shout out to the captains. They work really, really hard. We have a really good group of captains this year. Our captains group chat is really chatty. Our captains are pushing their players. And I know sometimes it can be hard because if players don't raise, because people are aware or not, we do have a limit on the fundraising for All Stars of what people should be raising just to take part in All Stars. But they're smashing it. I mean, I had a message this morning off Jo from Belfast, Weedall. She plays on the British Heart Foundation team. Yeah. And she was £39 away from £2,000. That girl has worked a bloody arse off this year fundraising. Yeah. She's done bake sales. She's done stick raffles. She's got her local football club involved and done a shirt raffle. And she was £39 off this morning. And I said, £39, you can do that. No problem at all. 5 minutes later, she texted me. She went, I'm over £2,000. And I'm like, and literally she just reached out and said to people, I can't be £39 off £2,000. What am I going to do? And her friends and family donated and she was over a £2,000. You've got players that are doing wild and wacky things. I mean, Mel, captain of the Help for Heroes team the other day, and her husband climbed Snowdon in full hockey kit. Are they crazy? Yeah, I wouldn't climb Snowdon. Yeah. I wouldn't climb Snowdon in my hiking boots and suitable footwear and clothing. And you know, every year somebody throws you with some other stupid challenge or some other way of fundraising, or you know, we're lucky this year we got the Euro, so quite a lot of the boys have done Euro sweepstakes. I got Switzerland in one, so I'm never going to win any money, but that's fine. But you know, every year that
could have been worse. You could have had Scotland.
Could have had Scotland. Hey, I like Scotland. But you know, every single year they are setting themselves a target and smashing it. Every year. I mean, we reached our 1 million last year. That was absolutely phenomenal. And you know, to be part of that, I'm so proud. But this year we're just, I think, what I won't say what it was this morning because we've had a little text, I'm sure, but we're nearly at £100,000 and we still haven't even got anywhere near the event yet. Yeah. So it's just absolutely crackers.
Yeah. And sorry, Craig. The way people fundraising has seemed to have changed, because obviously it was bake sales, raffles, kind of donations, and now we say people are going on for these bigger events. Like the BHF had their big bash, which is like a little mini tournament. Like you say, they've got people doing mountain climbing and stuff like the stuff that Chris does. They're doing kind of bigger set piece things.
Yeah.
That go beyond what they used to do, and it seems to obviously gets people talking, but it gets publicity, and more importantly, it gets the money coming in.
It's like Karen and Mark from Help for Heroes. They every weekend they're out fundraising, different ideas, They've just done the Triforces in Sheffield, and they've raised a phenomenal amount of money. You know, you can't. It's not always our players either. You know, we've got off-ice fundraisers. I know some of the Cardiff boys from Block 13 are doing off-ice fundraising for the Barbarians because Dave, the captain of Barbarians, is one of the Block 13 girls' fiance. So, you know, they're getting involved. They're not even playing in All-Stars and they're fundraising.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not just the players. We've got off-ice fundraisers that are raising money as well. So, you know, we've got 176 players all fundraising, but then their families want to get involved. Their friends want to get involved. It's not just the players anymore. It's like everybody just wants to get on the All-Stars bandwagon.
Yeah. And it's I mean, we're talking to Dave Grant, and like I think the first time I was involved was in Sheffield in 2018. It's when we had the Steeler Sports Bar. We did the auction on the Friday night at the sports bar.
Yeah.
And that was the first year we seriously looked at trying to get 100,000. I think that year we finished with 87. But now to be talking about 100,000 still 5-6 weeks away, and to be talking about the last few years like 130, 140, 145, whatever it was last year, you kind of just get a bit. We should never take it for granted, but you just get a bit blasé talking about these. Oh, it's going to be 120, 130, and it's just remarkable how it's grown over these 20 odd years.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like every year you've got to beat last year's total. Like Kelly said, the first year it was a couple of £1,000. It was 2 teams. There were probably 50 players, let's say, 25 players a team. And I'm not sure I don't know whether there was a minimum amount you had to raise, but that back then it was probably go around work and ask everybody for £1 or ask your family for donations, etc.
Yeah.
Now it's every year somebody from some team comes up with some ridiculous idea, and then next year somebody's got to bet, oh, so and so did this last year, we've got to do something better, or you know, and like Kelly says, the captains push their players and they're always looking for. It's almost like the fundraising is another tournament in itself. Every team's looking to one up the other team. Last year, so and so raised this much. We've got to smash that total, and you know, some teams just go above and beyond, and others are just happy to participate. But it does seem like there's a competition within the competition to raise as much money as they can and have the weirdest, wackiest idea ever to raise money. Or was it Hubs and Chris Edwards cycled in full. Well, he walked
the Taft Trail in
full
hockey kit.
full hockey kit, full hockey gear. A couple of years or so this year, 2 people decided to walk up Snowdon in it instead, because that's walking a flat trail's a piece of, is no problem. Let's walk up Snowdon.
Walk up Snowdon, as you would. Why not?
So I don't know. Maybe next year somebody will do Kilimanjaro or some other ridiculous in
3
full
peaks.
gear.
Yeah, do the 3 peaks in hockey gear.
It won't be me, by the way.
No, it won't be me.
No, it's not me.
No me. Before anybody says. Just as we wrap up, let's say we've 5 odd weeks away. It'll be here before we know it. So if there's people watching these interviews and taking notice of what All Stars are doing, and they're humming and hawing about coming to join us in Sheffield at the first weekend in August, what would your parting shot be? What would your pitch be to them to come along and join us at Ice Sheffield?
Come and have a laugh, because some of these players have never skated before in their life, and it is entertaining to watch them try. But also come and just a few pounds just to help raise money. There's 8 fantastic charities. And just it's a couple of pounds to get in. Buy a programme, put a few pound in the charity boxes, and you can watch a couple of games of hockey before the actual hockey season starts in September.
Yeah.
I think we're in Sheffield this year, so Sheffield do say they have the best fans in the league. I don't believe it. It's always going to be Cardiff, of course. But put your money where your mouth is. Sorry, Craig?
Best fans in
Europe. Best fans in Europe, obviously.
Yeah,
I think so. But no, hockey is so competitive. Your general hockey is really so competitive, and All Stars just is an event where you can just come down and let yourself go. Just enjoy watching the hockey, watch people falling over, watch people taking penalty shots, get involved with the charities. we've got a little charity village this year where you can come and meet the charity, see where your money goes. Because, I think sometimes you think, oh, well, I give to this charity, but I'm not sure where the money actually goes. Mental health hockey this year are raising for several different charities, all to do with mental health. Bluebell Wood will be down there. See where your money goes. See where the money you donate and what a difference it makes to these charities. Because you might think you can only give a couple of pounds, but a couple of pounds makes such a difference to these charities.
There's the big charities that are here every year: Prostate, British Heart Foundation, Dreams Come True. But then there's the small ones as well. Barbarians. I don't know. There's about, I think last year there were like 25 charities. Those players were raising money for 20 odd different charities, and they're all small charities that you've never heard of in your life. You've never heard of. And it's those charities, those small charities that are desperate for funds and get desperate for every little bit. Even the likes of T Haven and this year Bluebell Wood. Until I met Chris and Claire, I never heard of T Haven, and it was their goal, the team's goal every year, to raise enough money to pay for one nurse for one day, and that's like £20,000, which is a ridiculous amount of money to pay for one nurse. And I'm sure Bluebell Wood is the same. And they're desperate for funds. And if you can come down and just put a few pound in their charity box to help those smaller charities that are desperate, that can't afford the TV adverts and what have you, and people have never heard of, they're the ones that are desperate for money, desperate for help. Yeah.
And it's just all about having a laugh, isn't it? It's all about having fun. It's the reason why players are so desperate to get into All Stars. It's not about the hockey, because it's not the best hockey ever. It's about the camaraderie. It's about the events that take place. It's about, bringing your kids and getting your kids involved. It's just fun. We just have a laugh. You'll see me whizzing back and forth like this all day. But we do so much enjoy it, and we so much enjoy putting on a show for people to actually come down and watch. And we just love, like I say, Sheffield fans, Leeds fans. We had Leeds fans down last year at All Stars, because Sam Gospel was playing. So a load of Leeds fans just saw he was playing and decided to have a weekend in Cardiff. So come and watch some of your heroes, some of your future heroes, if you're playing, you know, some players like Sam Gospel that get involved with it. But just come down and enjoy the event. Just enjoy being an all-star for a weekend.
Yeah, because as we say, once you're in, you're an all-star, and you'll always be an all-star, and that'll never go away. Whether you put a pound in a bucket or, let's say, one day you're one of the players, once you're in, you're an all-star.
Yeah. You can be one of us.
Priceless.
Not sure about that.
Well, it's been brilliant catching up with you both. I say 5 weeks or 5 odd weeks it'll be here before we know it. Really appreciate your time. It's been great catching up. We'll see you, if not before, we'll see you in Sheffield first weekend in August. To Kelly and Jason, thanks for your time, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Craig.